All right. Hello, people of YouTube land, members of the CCG community Discord, and those that follow Ted and I on Twitch. I am Traductus,
And I'm Ted.
and today we bring you the very, very special bonus episode of the Cringe Crew Gaming James Bond podcast, where I, a fan of the James Bond series, and Ted, a casual newbie, someone that, not particularly a fan of the series, basically compare notes after watching each Bond film, many of which that Ted hasn't seen. This one's different. We decided to take ourselves back to 1983, where a rare occasion, this has only happened twice, where you have two James Bond films happen at once. The first time this has happened was You Only Live Twice in Casino Royale 67. However, Casino Royale 67 was a James Bond parody. So this is the first time where it's like two serious films go at it. That being said, we're basically going to go through this by talking about and comparing contemporary reviews. I just want to briefly say now that both films have like mixed reviews in modern times. You can go check out our videos on Never Say Never Again and Octopussy within like the other James Bond reviews that we've done on these podcasts to get a more in-depth of what we thought about Never Say Never Again and what we thought about Octopussy. After that, after like we do the contempt reviews, we're going to talk about which movie does better than the other. If you've seen like the previous two videos that we've done, you'd obviously know that we liked Octopussy better than Never Say Never Again. So Octopussy's probably gonna be having a lot more what it does better than Never Say Never Again. Although I meant
not to spoil our own episodes or anything, but you know, it was not close. Not close at all.
Although I will say there are a couple things that Never Say Never Again does better. Then we're going to have the big one, since contemporary reviews were both kind of similar for Never Say Never Again and Octopussy. And so are modern reviews. To really see, which one actually won the Battle of the Bonds, we're going to go with reveal of which one did better in the box office. Which, if you did the math in the previous episode, you already know, but we are hoping that you didn't be too analytical on that.
Yeah, not comparing math. Who does that?
All right, so first we're going to go with Never Say Never Again, and we're going to go with contemporary reviews. Many of them were very, very positive. One of them, like Derek Malcolm from The Guardian, said that he was a fan of Connery's Bond and said that he was the best Bond of the business. He said that he enjoyed Never Say Never Again. Really great. I mean, a lot, however, did not find it more enjoyable than Octopussy, and basically said that they were both about the same.
Fake.
Also, E. Christie of Daily Express said Never Say Never Again is one of the better Bond films, superbly witty, entertaining, and the dialogue is crisp and the fight scenes imaginative.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe they had a different idea of imaginative in the 80s. I don't know about that one, bud.
Yeah. Oh, and Janet Maslin of the New York Times said Never Say Never Again has noticeably more humor and character than the Bond films usually provide. I could kind of see that with, like, I guess the Connery ones, since there isn't really, compared to Roger Moore, there isn't, the typical, like, jokes and gags,
That's fair.
but they're still there. And God, fucking. All right, I guess we'll go with like the two biggest like movie reviewers here, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. Roger Ebert gave it a 3.5 stars out of 4 and wrote "Never Say Never Again." While consisting of a basic Bond plot, was different from other Bond films. For one thing, there's a more human element in the movie, and it comes from Klaus Maria Brandauer as Largo. And Ebert also to add, there was never a Beatles reunion, but by God, there is Sean Connery as Sir James Bond again. Good work, 007. Gene Siskel gave it the same rating and said that the writing of the film was one of the best Bond's adventures ever made.
Bold. Look, I will say that Never Say Never Again did have some more imaginative qualities to it. That, like, I guess it wasn't the same stereotypical the way it's always been, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it boils down to, like, just not being as good a movie as the previous ones had been. Yeah, they broke the mold, they tried to get creative, but there wasn't that much creativity, and they didn't necessarily make up the new things with good things. I don't know. It kind of felt flat.
Yeah. And I guess we're going to go over to Octopussy on contemporary reviews.
Sure.
All right. Gary Arnold of the Washington Post. Octopussy was one of the snazziest, wittiest productions of the series, and he praised John Glenn's direction, Louis Jourdan's performance, and the screenplay. Gene Siskel gave it 3 stars out of 4, stating the film was surprisingly entertaining. Surprising because in the previous 5 Bond appearances, Roger Moore has always come off as a little smug stiff. And Octopussy Moore relaxes a bit, and just as important, his role is subordinated from the film's many and extremely exciting action scenes. Octopussy has the most sustained excitement in a James Bond film since You Only Live Twice. However, he said the character Octopussy was detrimental to the film, and that the action blunts his script that is weak on characterization, long on male chauvinism. And, you know, kind of get that.
I get it, but I don't know. I guess I feel like other movies have done the chauvinist thing worse. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, while it was present, it didn't feel that abysmally bad. I don't know.
Variety magazine felt like the strong points of this movie were the spectacular aerial stunt work, the dangerous looking climax, which is also aerial stunt work, and also the action scenes were very well executed. However, sometimes suffered from a sense of deja vu, and they pointed out the fighting on top of the train, which they compared to the Great Train Robbery.
Yup.
Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times felt the film to be business as usual, no better or worse than most of its predecessors. After all this time, it's amazing the same old formula still plays. The gadgery, gorgeous girls, travelogue locations, and shameless double entendres. In this instant, Octopussy.
That one I'll give him.
So it's amazing. And when like reviews end up being like mixed for both, even now, like in retrospective, James Bertadelli basically criticized Steven Berkov's performance. So like, and on the same thing, when it comes to Never Say Never Again, the same guy said that thinks that rewriting of the Thunderball story has led to the film, which has a hokey jokey feel and possibly the worst written Bond script of all time. So, and there are positives, you know, in retrospect as well, but as you can see, why I kind of said we had to kind of focus on box office, but it's kind of interesting to see that both these films had like a lot of, praise along with some criticisms, but mostly praise.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see so much praise. I think, yeah,
Especially for Never Say Never Again.
right. I obviously didn't think that was nearly as good a movie. That not that there were no positives whatsoever, but like I guess it's just weird to see that like both movies coming out at the same time, having material to compare them to, and in the case of Never Say Never Again, to like have previous source material since it was basically Thunderball 2. Like it's very interesting to see that there were so many positives critically.
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of surprised at the backlash with Octopussy. It seems like a lot of like the criticisms. I mean, granted, Stephen Burkhall's performance isn't really that great in it, but almost every time I hear something negative, they go, "Oh yeah, this is the one where Roger Moore's bot dresses like a clown." Like, how low does it get?
What?
Or they'll judge the movie based on the name, and I don't think that definitely doesn't help the name.
It was a very lazy name, admittedly, but like I don't know, the one that you read there that stuck out to me was the one about the action makes you feel like you have deja vu, and I don't know that that's necessarily true. I guess I didn't feel that way a whole lot. Like,
Yeah,
maybe within the same action scene, there were some parts that felt mildly repetitive. The one that comes to mind is the one that I commented on in the last episode, where he all of a sudden is a marksman and it's 3 different people die. Like, we fired automatic weapons and then they got a bullet to the head, right? Like, within the same action scene, I guess I can see it, but like most of the action scenes were short, they were well cut, and like I didn't feel like there was a lot of overflow from one scene to the next in terms of the action. I don't know. It just strikes me as weird that they had criticisms in certain places that I don't necessarily get.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree on that. Which brings us to for our opinions on this, what each movie does better. I got a couple things, and I also have another point. Spoiler: we did this. We actually recorded this after we watched A View to a Kill, which kind of confirmed my one theory about what kind of made Octopussy as good as a film as it was. But I'm gonna leave that till after we kind of get to like what each film does better. For me, I think with Never Say Never Again, I think one case that it does better is I would say focusing on like a singular villain as opposed to like multiple. Although it's not a detriment to like because like Kamal Khan's actually not a bad villain. The concept of Orlov is great. It's just executed half-assed. And then on with Octopussy being thrown in the middle, not necessarily a villain, but she's on the villainous side until she gets, realize that she's getting played.
Yeah, I'd be prone to agree with you. I think I guess standard Bond formula, Bond versus villain, like was definitely stronger in Never Say Never Again, but I guess the not necessarily detriment of Octopussy then was that like it was Bond versus the world, and you just had to figure out how the world was working together, and it took a little longer to figure out the inner workings of things, more so than just, hey, that's the bad guy, kill him,
Right. I think like another thing that Never Say Never Again does a little bit better is despite the Bond gadget being like used, I'd say over, there's definitely like more use of gadgets and like with the rocket bike. I think that's a little bit of a plus. That granted, like it probably doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for like some gadgetry to work out with Octopussy, since it is a little bit more realistic, although you do have the goofy Bond gadget of like the fake alligator, well, I mean crocodile, but or whatever, but that's basically what I have with that. If that kind of makes any sense.
No, I agree.
Let's see. Oh, God, there was one more thing that I was thinking that. Oh, here we go. The biggest thing I think that Never Say Never Again does better, and it's like a concept that Never Say Never Again kind of does. And that is focusing on like an aging 007, where it's which actually gets shown in other film, like other Bond films, and not so much like his age per se, but whether Bond himself is obsolete. Like in GoldenEye takes place after the Cold War, and when M's just like, well, the Cold War's over. Like, we don't really need like an agent like you that just antagonizes everything and then brings us back to square one. Or like in Spectre, where you have cameras, cameras everywhere, like cameras in our phone that track everybody, that can listen in, and also drone strikes to take out people. Do we really need, MI6 and the 00 program to do these jobs that technology can do for us? To me, that kind of really goes to like Never Say Never Again, where Bond is, getting up there in age, and then M's just like, can you even physically even do what we need you to do, since like we ran you through this training exercise, you ended up failing the training exercise. Like, we know that you're good at what you're doing, but you're not at your prime. Can
Right.
you do this mission while you're at your prime? While Octopussy, even though Roger Moore
looks
is up there in
ancient.
age isn't really a factor in that movie, where you think, that could have been like a really, really interesting, story plot within that movie if they did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I guess like using those trope is the wrong word there, but using that theme, I guess does add something to Never Say Never Again that wasn't necessarily present in other movies. It was just start
right.
as if this is the first movie all over again from every time Roger Moore's appeared, despite looking like he was 98 years old in his past two movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. You got any thoughts on what Never Say Never Again has done better, or did we like crisscross a little bit?
I think we crossed over. I mean, most of my notes for comparing the movies is genuinely comparing the two, more so than what either one did better than the other. But I guess, like you said, Never Say Never Again did better at sticking to the Bond formula, but adding new thoughts and ideas to it. It was the execution of the new ideas that I think was taking something away from it. To transition a little into Octopussy, I thought they focused much more on film quality. Like, they wanted to give you a good viewing experience, which was the biggest like positive of that one. If you had two screens, you watched both of them right next to each other, I think your eyes would pretty naturally be drawn to Roger Moore, just because the film looked, sounded, and proceeded better. Like the evolution of the plot line developed in a way that was enticing the whole time.
Yes.
Better
The
so than
scenery was
again.
also better too.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, this is actually specific, and it goes with both things, because I left out something on Never Say Never Again, and once we got done with like the podcast, I like wanted to kick myself in the face for leaving it out. Typically, like, Bond likes to sometimes blow his cover and antagonize the villain, so that way the villain slips up and gives more information than he could have if he stayed undercover. This is a little bit more done better in Octopussy, as in like Bond is playing backgammon with Kamal Khan, and then obviously notices that Kamal Khan is using loaded dice, and then ends up, basically conning Kamal Khan into them two playing backgammon with each other, and then Bond just like, all right, I'll use your dice. And then, obviously wins and takes Kamal Khan's money. While on the opposite side, you have Never Say Never Again, where they play that video game that's basically Triangle Simulator, and
Yeah.
like stuff like goes beep, 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 and Bond loses twice and then wins at the end. While kind of figuring out how the game works, but you're not sure. It's I don't know if it's supposed to be like a little bit of a typical thing where uh Bond is trying to throw off the villain, or if it's just the villain just trying to like dominate over Bond to stroke his own ego. And Never Say Never Again, it's never really specified. And that's kind of like really like confusing, and it's kind of dull not being able to like know what's going on and follow it, while in Octopussy you can really follow what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was less of like a, it felt less overt, but still the good guy wins in the end. But it was a struggle to get there kind of thing. Even with the video game example, like,
Yeah.
It was more of a, hey, I lost twice and then figured it out, got myself together, more so than antagonizing.
Right. But I mean, I just kind of like the backgammon thing, just because like it really showed like the different ways of, like, how Bond kind of like observes everything, as opposed to like the typical like good guy and bad guy fight, and then good guy comes out on top eventually.
Right.
See what else. Film quality, sound quality, scenery. I want to say like Bond Woman, to be honest. I think Octopussy's better than Kim Basinger's Domino, and it's nothing against Kim Basinger. She's just not given a lot.
Yeah, the script didn't help her in that aspect. I definitely think that like part of that was the plot, part of it was the writing, but I definitely think she didn't. She stood a step lower by comparison, but not much she could do about it necessarily.
Right. And this will probably be something for View to a Kill, but I'm gonna mention this anyway. Although I won't say that Connery necessarily phoned it in, like he, was able to go back into the mold fine. He just didn't. He just was just full fucking Scotsman. But like Roger Moore, like essentially gave it his all. Like in every film, like it doesn't matter what film like he's in, he just gives it 110% no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that really, really helps Octopussy, over Never Say Never Again. While even though Connery still Bond is, Bond, but it seems like it's just he still seems like he's kind of going through the motions and not really trying a whole lot, but it's like he doesn't really have to.
Yeah, I think there was part of that. The other big plus I had too with Octopussy was that like I just had it and then I started talking and I lost it. Man, well, we'll move on. Doesn't matter. But
all right, hold
on. In the grand scheme of things, I guess to pull this towards the end and compare the two movies more directly. I thought that releasing both movies next to each other gave a really interesting perspective that we haven't necessarily had going just from movie to movie. The interesting part for me was that it was like, so Never Say Never Again was just a strict nostalgia take. They took a movie that people knew, that they enjoyed, and the Bond that was the original, and then Octopussy went, well, to keep them here rather than going back to the nostalgia, let's create a really quality movie. They did a really good job at balancing action and humor and making things like entertaining the whole way throughout, where Never Say Never Again was just so full of itself of, look, here we are. Connery's really great, isn't he? Haha. and that but like it was interesting the way that the two companies put those movies together with such very different styles to compete with the other, and seeing them both next to each other really highlighted the things, I guess, that are not only important in movies, but also important to the Bond franchises as we know it. Had Octopussy been a worse movie, had it been of worse quality or less well written or worse directed, would we be continuing to follow Connery like through his 80s?
The answer would have been fuck no,
Well,
because Sean Connery didn't want to do it after this.
Okay, but you get my point. Is that if it
Yes.
it had nostalgia been stronger than quality movie, like would we be watching a different franchise of Bond movies, into the modern era, versus continuing to trust the same company to produce good things.
Right. And to be honest, like kind of comparing the two and also watching like A View to a Kill, not to really get any too much into spoilers, I will say that it made me appreciate Never Say Never Again a lot, because I don't think Octopussy would have been as good of a film as it was if it didn't have that competition.
Yeah, not to spoil the next episode for View to a Kill, but that trust me, that's on my list of notes. I wholeheartedly agree though that like they definitely brought their A game because there was competition more so than they just wanted this to be a good movie. Obviously Octopussy became a million times better for it. Like it was a fantastically done movie, like we talked about in the podcast, but yeah, it was interesting to see the way that they played against each other and the amount of effort they put into making it such a good film to keep you with the same company rather than migrating to the nostalgia. Very neat.
Yes, very neat indeed. And with that, that's a good wrap up, and we'll see you
box
in,
office. Box office, Stallman. Box office.
What?
Box
oh, right.
office.
So, which movie do you think did better at the box office?
My guess, that, contrary to all the things I believe about both movies, I would be willing to wager a guess that Never Say Never Again probably did better.
Actually, no.
Really?
Octopussy did. Yeah. Octopussy won out.
People spend so much money on nostalgia that, like, while I know it's more deserving of it, it surprises me greatly that people paid for new things rather than nostalgia.
Yeah, same here. But although Never Say Never Again did split the fan base enough where Octopussy didn't make as much money as For Your Eyes Only, but to me, I think, who cares if it didn't make, as much money? To me, I think, having that competition definitely just gave us a really good quality movie. And I'm more happier about that than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that such a well-done movie is worse than its predecessor, which I guess also may contribute to View to a Kill and its quality, but yeah, definitely surprises me. I think very unexpected to know that it did better, and I can understand certainly the splitting the fan base to make it where it wasn't as profitable. But very cool to know that what I think to be the better movie did edge out the less good.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And with that being said, that ends this bonus episode. We will be happy for you to, like, comment, subscribe to the Cringe Crew Gaming channel. Also, watch the other episodes. Also, be sure to check out A View to a Kill's episode and the episodes after that. And Ted can add his usual stingers in there.
Yeah, like Stallman said, I appreciate you guys watching the video, checking out the YouTube. Follow us both on Twitch, Stallman at Traductus, myself at Ted Green Eagles. Links to both of these movies should be posted in the description. If not, I'll make sure to, put them on the end screen somewhere, so you can just click on it and watch what we thought about the movies individually. View to a Kill comes out Thursday from whenever you see this video. We're not several weeks ahead. And then hop in the Discord. That'll be linked below too. Feel free to watch the movies with us on Tuesdays. It'll be a little farther ahead than where you think we should be if you're watching this episode and joining immediately. But obviously, welcome to join. And I think that about wraps us up.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.